Well, thank you for coming in for the finishing of the yearbook art journal. So I am starting off with some Graphix black, white, and gray craft plastic. And I'm running it through my die cutting machine with an embossing folder. And then I'm going to, on this first black piece, I'm spraying it with some Lindy's spray to get some of that metallic, let it fall into the crevices.
In the garden room.
Alright, so similarly to what I've done with this black craft plastic, I am now going to do the same thing but with the white as well as the gray. And I'm just using these Sizzix embossing folders for these. So on this one, I did it where it was pushing the image towards me. And I'm going to do the same on the white as well as the gray. So on this one, I had used the Lindy's. So now I'm going to do something a little bit different with these. On one of them, I'm going to use some of the Marabou art spray, which won't move on us. And on the other, I'm actually going to try some alcohol ink. I wanted to give myself some options, different clusters I could put together for front of the book, the art journal. So I want to just give myself kind of a variety to be able to choose from, depending on how it looks with the art journal that I'm making this cover for. So I first sprayed this with some isopropyl alcohol that I have in a spray bottle, and then I've gone over it with this green alcohol ink. The addition of the isopropyl that I sprayed on it just allows it to move more. And on this one, I'm going to use some Marabou art spray. This is in the cocoa. And I'm going to first go over this because, again, I want this to move. So I'm going to go over it with some water. And then I'm going to let these dry, air dry. All right, so this is the first yearbook journal that I've made, and there are some spots on here that I'm not pleased with that the glue came through. So not only do I want to cover this with making some kind of focal point, but I also want to hide those spots. So that is something I need to keep in mind as I'm moving forward and making my little assemblages for the front cover, my little focal points. So I've pulled out some items that I want to use along with these Graphix craft plastic focal assemblage starting points, I guess is what I'm going to call them. And some of them are vintage items that kind of match in color tonality that will go with this cover or another cover, and some of them are fibers that I've hand dyed, and others are vintage pieces that I've purchased from other people, or some music sheets here that are vintage, and some really interesting vellum that is like, it has a texture to it, so it's very different. And so I am going to start off creating assemblages out of all three of these panels that I started with: the black, the white, and the gray. So first thing first, I'm going to select what the craft plastic's going to sit on, and then I am going to then kind of focus on one of these panels at a time. So for this white piece, I have selected, well, it's the white piece that I did use the notebook paper embossing folder with, and I'm going to go in and do some distressing on this vintage page out of a book. It's very distressed. It's already got a lot of vintage to it. However, I am going to come in with an ink blender and some archival ink in the vintage photo to give it a little bit more distressing along those edges. And equally, I am going to distress that craft plastic piece as well.
Baby, me and you. Pencil drawing.
And now I am just getting all these papers that I've collected in light colors. So I'm working with this white one, which has a lot of the vintage type browns and natural kind of colors. So I'm just going to start playing with an assemblage and try and come up with a look that I like.
Both becoming seen into. Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond, phosphorescence. In the heavens, a billion signals move. Call and answer, dozen pairs of two by two. Slowly we take on phosphorescence.
So this little organic piece is something that was left over from a sheet book page that I had done a whole bunch of different looks in. This is just pen, and then I believe that I used a white, maybe it was a Neo Color 2, I'm not positive, it was a very long time ago, and I did a whole bunch of sheets of these in all different kinds of motifs, and this is some of it that's left over, and I felt like it just really looked good on this assemblage, so this is going to be added. I'm not quite sure where I found this little feather. It looked kind of sad, but I liked how it looked kind of sandwiched in there, so I did include that as well.
Midnight twist tied together, turning so close together. Slowly we take on.
Now this little bird is not vintage, and it is quite shiny, glossy. It came out of a, I think it was a calendar, and I don't know what about it. I just really liked it. There was a couple of birds in this calendar that I ended up cutting out and saving for future focals, and this one made the cut here, but I was a little disappointed with it being so shiny. I did try and put some matte gel medium over the top of it. It did mute it down a little bit. It's still kind of shiny though, so it was kind of a challenge, but I felt it was worth gracing the front of this little this focal point that I've been creating. And as a result, I decided to come in with a bit of a pop of color using that yellow, and I have some vintage thread on an old wooden spool, and I decided to go ahead and use that for this. you'll see as I finish each focal point, I'm going to kind of put it onto the cover and see if this is the one that's going to live there or not. Just kind of get an idea of what possibilities are. And then next I'm going to pull out that gray, the greenish colored one, the one with the music on it and panel, the craft plastic panel, and start doing that assemblage.
All through the stages, both becoming seen into. Slowly we take on.
And again, on this craft plastic, I'm doing some distress edging using the Vintage Photo and the Ground Espresso archival ink. And then I'm coming on that is a parts card. It's a John Deere parts card. And I am going to give it some age using some coffee staining.
In the heavens, a billion signals move. Call and answer. Dozen pairs of two by two. Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond, phosphorescence. Midnight halos, twist that together, turn it on, so close together. Midnight halos, twist that together, turn it on, so close together. Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid and
Now I really futzed with this for quite a while, and so I took out that footage, and it was just a matter of just like moving stuff around, trying different things as possible focals, and then I remembered about these it's like a mushroom encyclopedia vintage book that I have, and I remembered about that, so I went through that and found a mushroom to try out. So I fussy cut that. And although I love the mushroom, I just felt like there was something missing. So I decided to go ahead and take the craft plastic piece that I used the alcohol inks on to my sewing machine and give it a little bit of a border, a sewn edge around it.
through the arbor, in the garden room. Wings are beating, baby, me and you alone. pencil drawing phases of the moon, all through the stages, both becoming seen into. Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond, phosphorescence. In the heavens, a billion signals move, call and answer, thousand pairs of two by two. Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond, phosphorescence.
So it was about then that I decided that I wanted to use some words on the front of this focal point. And so I pulled out some little scrappy tags. One of these is from Ricky Tikki Tavi. I'll list her below. And one is one that I made. And so I'm just trying to make a decision on which words I'm going to end up using on this focal, and if it needed some additional layers before it got placed on the focal.
So close together, slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond, phosphorescence. Through the arbor, in the garden room, wings are beating, baby, me and you alone. Pencil drawing phases of the moon,
And true to form, I am checking this one out on the cover, and although I really liked it, the greens were just clashing for me, so I kind of immediately made up my decision that this would not be for the cover of this journal, and that maybe since I used words on it, that it may be something that goes inside of my Year of the Book journal. So kind of decisions kind of preliminarily made at this point. But now it's time to get on to this last panel using the black craft plastic. Now this is the one that appeared on the Graphix channel, and I will link the video up in the upper right hand corner to the quick version of the making of this last focal point. So far what I've done is I've pulled out a hanky that I had done some dyeing on. It's really a pale pink, and this other piece is a piece of vellum that's vintage. I pulled it out of a vintage, really old, one of those photo albums that have the black paper, and each page had a piece of this vellum that was separating them from the other photos on the other side of the page. So I thought it was really interesting because it has a texture to it. And so I'm cutting that fabric down, getting rid of the sewn edges so it's kind of, you know, distressed. And then I am going to come in and do some distressing with that piece of vellum. And I decided to distress that edge with some archival ink in a pink. So I pulled out the two pinks that I had at that time, which were Tim Holtz's Picked Raspberry and Wendy Venci's Cactus Flower. And I end up going with the Cactus Flower because I felt like it matched the Lindy spray that I used on the black craft plastic. Now it's time to pull out my neutrals and anything, any of the ephemera, the vintage pieces that I have that are in a light pink or something that would go with that. So I pull all those out and I just start playing with layers.
Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond, phosphorescence.
And as I'm playing with these layers, I realize I need to go to my sewing machine with some white thread and go around the edge of this black craft plastic and give it just a little bit of pizzazz. Now you're going to see here I am going to end up pulling out some of the Graphix chipboard or cardboard in the white because I felt like that fabric was just too lightweight to handle holding all the layers I was going to put on it, and I knew it was going to be going onto a front of a journal at some point in time. So I decided to go ahead and cut down that chipboard and use that as my backer for this focal point. And it dawned on me to use the Graphix double tack mounting film to put that fabric on top of the cardboard piece, but I should have really thought about using this earlier with those craft plastic pieces when I was adhering those to the backer pieces that I did for the other two. I think that this would have been a lot better to adhere the plastic because I did have some wrinkling from it going through the embossing folders initially, and I ended up using it on this piece and was very happy with the results.
Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bone, phosphorescence. In the heavens, a billion signals move, call and answer, thousand pairs of two by two.
So I'm just going through and making final decisions, putting pieces down. Like on this little tag, I decided to go ahead and do some stitching on it. So I did that, and that's pretty much what I do until it's time to get everything kind of finalized. Adhere the black craft plastic down to the sandwich that I've created for underneath it.
Midnight halos, twist tied together, turning on, so close together. Midnight halos.
And this is like a little corsage pin that I had just sitting around, and I thought it would look really nice on this focal point. So I made this little fabric ensemble for it to, specifically for it to go through it. And yeah, I think it really looks nice. And again, I can't say enough how much I really liked how that double tack mounting film did on holding that craft plastic piece down. I weighted it down just hoping that it would all get really nice and flat and not buckle, and it didn't at all. So now I am adding this focal point to my focal point. So this is a vintage photo. It's like a cardboard. It's very heavy, and I have been in love with it and have not wanted to use it. And I just felt like this was the time to use it. It's just such a sweet vintage photo. So now it's time to get it added and layered up onto my focal point. It was right about here that I was kicking myself for not using the double tack mounting film on the back of this photo.
Through the arbor, in the garden room, wings are beating, baby, me and you alone. Pencil drawing.
So now, like the others, I'm testing this focal point on the front of the cover and realize that I need to do something about those glue spots. So I come in with another piece of that cantha with more of the pink on it as an additional backdrop onto this cover, just adding an additional layer. And so I'm going to actually get this cut down, and that is going to go down, and then the black craft plastic focal point will go on top of that. And that is how I solve the problem of the splooge of my glue coming through on the front cover.
Phosphorescence, phosphorescent. In the heavens, a billion signals move. Call and answer, dozen pairs of two by two. Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond, phosphorescence.
All right, so here is this yearbook art journal and its cover and its final look. This one, the inside pages were just custom put together, so they're not similar to what is in the kits that I'm listing below. If you missed the making of this art journal, I will list it up in the corner there for you. But I had so much fun putting this together that I decided to make a whole bunch of yearbook art journaling kit. So really it's a junk journal kit. It comes with the yearbook covers, the spine and the back cover all intact, and then it comes with all these papers and stuff that you can use on the inside. Now this book, I didn't do that, use the actual kit, so I decided to go ahead and make another one, which I did not film the making of this one. This one was made out of this, not even vintage, this is not vintage, this was a curtain that I found at a thrift store, and it was, I just ripped it apart and had all these pieces and used those to make this junk journal, art journal, mixed media journal out of a yearbook cover. I did it differently. There's no sewing involved in this one of the cover. And this is the original spine, is this outside little piece. Similar to this one, I did do a blind binding, but what is different is that I did use the kit that I have for sale on my Etsy shop, which I will list below, for the inside pages of this. So I did also do a blind binding, and so now these I did paint before I put them in. These were just clear, plain deli papers that are included with the kit. I added some color and then folded them in half so that I would have this little insert. You can do what you want. I sewed some of my pages together, so there is sewing on the inside. I used some of the leftover fabric from the cover, and I will have details about all the pages that are inside each of the kits in the Etsy link. But these are all pages that were, and items that were included in each of the kits. And I just have these, the kits are at rock bottom prices because I just have so many here that I just can't store them. So, and I want everyone to make one for themselves and participate along this year. Because if you don't know that this is going to be, well, one of these is going to be the art journal that I used for my 2024 series, which I have now coined Year of the Book. Get it? Yeah, okay. Anyways, so what is left to do on this is I need to finish the cover. So you just saw the creation, the final creation of the 3 panels that I did. So what I'm going to do is use this one, which I thought the gold or the yellow and the gray of this little bird I thought went really well with this fabric. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this onto the cover, and I'm gonna adhere it similar how I did this one in using the double tack mounting film from Grafix. This is the first time I've used this, and I've been so impressed with how strong it is, and easy. Strong and easy, that's the big one. And so these are very fragile vintage pieces, along with this embossed craft plastic, also by Grafix. And I will have all that listed down below. And so what I've done is I've just cut out some pieces that will fit on here so that I can get this adhered to the cover. And I might add a little bit to it just to kind of bring it into being one with the cover. I might add some, I don't know, hints of yellow. I was thinking about bringing in some more of this thread behind this. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to do next.
So close together. Slowly we take on phosphorescence, vivid in the bond.
Well, if you've gotten this far, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a long one. I try not to let my videos be longer than 25 minutes at the most, and this one's definitely significantly over that, but I do appreciate you hanging in there. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do consider doing so, and thank you once again.